Do you ever feel like you start out with the best intentions and then you have to push pause because life does not go as you expected it to? Well, that's kind of what happened to me and why I seemingly disappeared from social media for a while. What I started in the fall, what I decided to do for myself was this 30-day quick win challenge. It was a challenge to myself, and I wanted to lead others on this journey in a public way. It kept me accountable, but it also shared in real life what was happening and in my own journey. The intention was just to understand what was happening in my body, see if I could figure out how to make little changes to shift things for me. Post-menopause, metabolism slows down, and I was having trouble. But I also wanted to know if I could help other women, because these are the people that I relate with and that come to me looking for guidance. So I started, and I had a plan, and it quickly kind of disintegrated as real life happened. Well, the first thing that happened was I fell, and I injured my knee pretty badly, to the point that I was on crutches and a knee brace. And I was sort of in this place where I was already in transition. You know, I had sold my house pretty quickly in March, did not find a house, had to move everything into storage, and I moved into an Airbnb, and that's where I was living in the fall. I had been there since March. So I was temporarily sort of like on this nomadic journey, and, you know, injuring myself right before I found a house finally, having to move, pack, unpack, all those things, you know, just really put the pressure on. And so what I thought was going to be this clean, structured process turned into something not so much. And honestly, it was exactly what I needed, because it became very revelatory for me. One of the things that shifted in me was that I knew that I was not in control, that this was not something that I was going to be able to manage on my own, that I had to yield to the circumstances. And what was I going to do with that? Was I going to let this lack of control deter me from what I had originally planned? Was I going to allow it to change in me things that needed to? It was really very revelatory. I began to understand that I needed to really release control, really release between kind of shifting from effort to ease, you know, and trust in myself, trust in God, trust in His plan, and that giving up control was like the best thing that I could have done. The second thing that I learned is that, you know, I've tended to be a perfectionist, and I wanted everything to be just so, and perfection is like a state of utopia, kind of. It's not really a reality in the present world that we live in. And so I had to let go of my expectations. I had to let go of what I thought things should look like and learn from them. And so my confidence didn't grow from things being perfect. It came from just being faithful to what I know to be true, faithful to what I know God has, and then showing up for myself again and again. And that's where a new identity, you know, began to emerge. The third thing that shifted is my body. I realized I was learning to listen to my body. I actually am a type of person that's very driven, and I don't slow down very easily. And so this injury and moving forced me to stop. I had to stop. I had to rest. I had to just shift and pay attention to any pain that I was feeling this experience of having this instability. My knee was very unstable, especially going up and down the stairs, and I live in a 3-story house, a brick colonial. So just shifting and waiting, and then just allowing myself to heal. The other thing was that I realized I could not just override. You know, I worked in an ICU, and I'm self-employed now, and I learned to push and push and push and push. And you can't push through an injury. Like, you have to stop. And my body wasn't fighting with me. It was, and I didn't want to fight with it. So I had to learned that healing doesn't come by force. The third thing that I learned, or the fourth thing that I learned, was rhythm. I found a new rhythm in my new journey, in my new home. I learned to create simple rhythms in my day: morning time, evening time, moments to pause, making sure that I took a rest on the Sabbath. My Saturday is my Sabbath. That routine, it doesn't mean it's restriction. It actually is rhythm, and there's freedom in that. And it's very, it creates a lot of space for healing to take place in your spirit, soul, and in your body. The other thing was that I had to make a shift in was transparency. As I was living out the 30 days in front of everybody, I've tended to be a very private person, and I was living my life in real world, like in the real life with everybody in front of me, and I couldn't hide. And I chose to share that every day, to show up not polished. I think I even, at one point, I had a fever. I think, I just, like, there was a whole lot that went on in those 30 days. And I got all the way up to day 29, and day 30 was the day that I moved into my new house, and I didn't even post because it was just snowing and, movers and moving from the Airbnb and all the things into storage and on my crutches, and I was just very fragile. And I realized that, I just couldn't hide. And when we stop allowing ourselves to be seen, or when we stop hiding and we begin to allow ourselves to be seen, something shifts, not just for me personally, but for others too, because healing isn't meant to be hidden, and people want to know that you are relatable. And so what we go through is meant to flow through us, and it's meant for us to share, to be able to help others. What didn't change, if I'm being honest, what really didn't change, I didn't have any dramatic external things, although I will say the whole metabolic idea, I found a program that was named what I was going to call my program that I was going to develop, and was able to speak with the owner, the founder, the person who kind of developed this program, and started to do it, and have released 27 pounds, which was like, I carry it well because I'm so tall. I'm 6 foot tall, but for me it was transformational. And where I didn't feel like things on the outside changed in my environment too much, because I still had all the boxes and things I had to work on and still show up for my business. I felt like the things that happened were more internal, and something was deeply going on inside of me as I began to love myself first. My nervous system, I began to pay attention, and I began to pause and reflect, and I began to listen instead of pushing. I began to respond instead of react. I began to honor my body, and I would literally stand in front of the mirror and say, I love you just the way you are, all your imperfections, I love you just the way you are. And I trust more, and I definitely control less. And honestly, I feel like I may not look completely different on the outside, but I know that I am different, much, much different. And growth has been just beautiful. One of the biggest things that I realized in all of this was that I thought I was creating a program, but the process of everything was really creating me. It was creating an upgraded version of myself that I have really grown to love and appreciate. So what is next? As I step forward from this, I moved in December 2nd was my move-in day. It's now beginning of May, I can't remember what day it is. Now, as I step forward, I'm not just coming from theory, I'm coming from real life. And part of what I've decided is that I am an introvert, and so social media has been something that has been a challenge for me. And I feel like my message needs to be portrayed in a way that's more long form, because I love to teach, and I love to lead and to guide. And so I'm basically shifting from all the short form social media platforms, and I'm going to go to long form. I'm going to develop my YouTube channel to be more long-form content. I'm going to start a podcast and be intentional about blogging and posting my thoughts in that way. So if you want to be part of this, I would encourage you to just continue to journey with me. One of the things that I did, a major thing I did in the last couple months, is that I rebranded under my name. I rebuilt my website. I have my functional medicine practice, which is Foundations and Wellness, but I've started Renaissance Women Coaching. And this is for me to be able to help those high achieving women who feel like their lives have been fragmented and they feel like something's off and they're not sure what to do. I would love to have you join me in this journey. So if that resonates with you, I've created something called the alignment check. It's not a report card or anything like that. It's just simply some check-in questions. And if you answer yes to any of them, then maybe you're feeling that something is just off and not quite aligned. I would highly encourage you to come and join me there. My website is teresagreco.com, so myname.com. You can go there and it explains everything. I'll put a link for the alignment check in the description below. And if there's one thing that I would leave you with, it's this. It isn't about weight loss. This journey has not been about health. It's just simply been learning about how to reconnect with trust, reconnect with rhythm, reconnect with truth, reconnect with myself. And I'm so grateful to have walked through this with you. I'm so grateful that you've been here with me, and I would love for you to continue this journey over on long form and in my podcast. And I hope this has touched you in some way, and I look forward to speaking with you soon.